and pillars that support all that you do to create fulfillment and success in every aspect of your life. Love Within Us guides our paths while our health enables us to drive forward. The two are inseparable and vital for growth and reaching your fullest potential. Welcome to Love and Health in America with Dr. Doohi Lee, Mary McMahon, and Jens Johnson. Dr. Lee is an international speaker, author, inventor of the Diamond Matrix, and medical director of Advanced Surgical Arts. Mary McMahon is a certified financial planner committed to maximizing your financial success. And Jens Johnson, the Mindset Master, is a best-selling author, speaker, mastermind facilitator, and success mindset coach. They are committed to help you succeed by optimizing your health, finances, and relationships. Please join them and explore all the facets of love and health to achieve and live your abundant life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Doohi Lee, Mary McMahon, and Jens Johnson.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Another episode
Yes.
Love and Health in America. I think we've got some background noise, and so I'm going to mute everyone's mic. I don't know why it does that just right when we turn it on. Hey, if there's not technical difficulties going around, then it just means we're not live. And
That's
so
right.
there you go.
And Mary, you're muted.
Yes, Mary is muted. So we just want to
There you
welcome
go.
everybody. There we go. We want to welcome everybody to our show today, and we're super excited because we're going to be talking about the formula to success. And one of the things I think about is when you were growing up, you're a little boy, you're a little girl, you had so many dreams. You played, you were creative, and there was really nothing that you didn't think that you could accomplish and achieve. And what I love about that is that really is the truth. There isn't anything we can't accomplish, but we go through life, and what happens to us is what I call the beat down, where life just beats you down. And I want to say it's not intentional, but it just happens. And so there's a lot of people that grow up, and as they become adults, they don't think they can succeed. Their belief is gone, their hope is gone. They're just floundering in the world. And the three of us, we don't want that to happen. We want people to succeed. And so, we're going to jump right into our conversation because I know Dr. Lee and Mary have some phenomenal things to add to this topic. But, when we talk about the definition of success, I love Earl Nightingale's definition of success, and that is being in active pursuit of a righteous goal. So it doesn't mean that you have to wait until you achieve that goal. If you are actively pursuing a righteous endeavor and you've written the goal down, you have created a plan to achieve it, and you are in action towards that goal, you are succeeding. But I know that when we were younger, we probably didn't have the same definition of success. So I want to know from you two, Mary, you first, and then Dr. Lee, as you were growing up, what was your definition of success? And how has it evolved through the years, and what has it evolved to now?
That's a really great question, Jens. Thank you for that. I am a product of the cultural norms of the 1950s and 60s, with my parents getting married in the 50s and having kids into the 60s. And that definition of success was you had 2 cars, your kids went to college, having a pool. Growing up in Milwaukee, having a pool was a definition of success. So when you're a kid, you pretty much adopt those definition of successes around you. I was very aware of the term keeping up with the Joneses as a kid. Very interesting. My story, with my dad passing away prematurely at age 45 in 1972, 5 girls, 1 boy. My mom had to raise 6 kids on her own, ages 5 to 15. The boy was at the end. That in the 70s, when women were not well received in the workplace, when my mom was expected to split all of us up and send us off to homes, and my mom was expected to move back with her dad. I mean, my mom just bucked all the norms. I was this little kid. And I was like, oh, okay, life was this, now it's this. And now the definition of success for me was going forward was, okay, buck the norm. And you really have to decide who you are and what it is that you want. I learned a lot of great lessons as a young child and then growing up, and they've served me really well. My definitions of success really is Earl Nightingale's setting a goal, a good goal. I believe a life of service to people is an excellent way to live. That's how I run my practice. That's how I run my family life. That's how I run my personal life, is being of service. It doesn't mean that I do everything for everybody, but I was gifted with talents, unique talents and gifts. It is my job in the world to use those to make a difference in the quality of people's lives.
I love that. Because, as we evolve as people and we grow and develop, we realize that success really is about using your gifts and talents to make a positive impact on the world. And when you're doing that, you are succeeding. But I know, Dr. Lee, you grew up differently than we did, in a different culture. So as you were growing up, what was success? What was your definition of success, and how has it evolved?
That's what can be a very shallow or very deep answer. I suppose it depends on how much time you want to spend on this. Well, I think the definition of success obviously changes in different phases of your life. I think Mary alluded that to a little bit. And there's one perception of your idea of success from your parents, because when you're a young child, you don't really know what that means to be successful, or what that even really means from a larger philosophical sense, to when you grow up, how those things change and how your life is molded by that. I mean, thinking back when I was a little kid, definition of success was getting straight A's. I mean, it's like bring home nice report card, and you're successful. You don't get into trouble. Nobody yells at you, and you may get a bowl of ice cream or something at that point. And that's sort of that's the idea at that phase of life. And then as you go through, that changes going through school, different parts of school, high school. Of course, that's very, very different in terms of what success is, in terms of how you fit into the social life, how people perceive you, and kind of things that you do. And I think that starts to mold your maybe more mature idea of your own personal idea of what really is important. And I mean, personally, I don't want to get too deeply into my own personal psychological, emotional journey growing up, but I was a pretty stupid, naive kid growing up. I think I was bright. I think I was intelligent. I did pretty well in scores and tests and whatnot. So in terms of the academic stuff, that really wasn't that difficult. But in terms of being aware of the kind of person that I am, or I was, or how I fit into the whole social fabric, that really didn't come till much, much later. And I didn't even know what I didn't know, because coming from a different culture, I came at an age where I was just starting to become aware of, different cultural things, and my siblings came much younger, except for my sisters. So when they're growing up as babies, they were growing up in America. But the older ones, you have to adjust from, the footing of Korean culture versus American culture, how you adapt and all that. And that alone created a huge amount of discourse, maybe discontent, or just the confusion of what is right and what is not. And going through that journey of trying to find out, how do I fit into all this? And how do I define what I want? Because, to define what you want, you have to realize where you are. And if you don't really understand where you are, it's really hard to define what you want. And that kind of gives you an idea that success, obviously you want to get good grades and go to college and, all these kind of things. Those are all ideas of, I think, immediate success that I think we all, grow up with. But as you get older, going through college, and I think I told you a little bit about my past in terms of music and engineering and all these kind of things, and I don't need to rehash all that stuff. But when you think about music in my life, and then, I have different definition of success there because my goals changed. And then when I decided, okay, I want to go to the medical school, the definition then was, yeah, get to medical school. And then once you get in, yeah, finish, get that degree, because not everybody does. And then it keeps changing. You want to get into the training program, your field that you want to, fellowship. And so the idea and the milestones of success never end, because once you reach one, there's another one immediately after. And once you reach that one, there's another one after that. And you have to kind of plan for successive milestones to achieve as you progress through these ideas. And you kind of tick off, okay, I got that, I got that, I got that. And your ideas of success, change. And that sort of is the wheel that you turn. That
well, you talked about we have different facets of our lives, and so we're constantly working towards success in different areas of our lives. And if you level 10 was the highest level of success, you're not going to be a level 10 in all areas all the time.
I don't think I'm ever level 10 in any of them, because no, I mean, we talked about this before, and this kind of brings back the idea of how you define yourself. Mary, you just mentioned that during your talk, because as you learn to define yourself, your idea of success changes. I mean, we talked about this. My own idea. What am I? I'm a healer. Okay, I'm a teacher, and I think third one, because I usually think in threes. Third one, I was thinking about, okay, what is the third one that I'm missing? And I think in my heart, I'm an artist. I think that comes across in my music, and I think comes across in the aesthetic stuff that I do in my work. I think even in teaching, there's artistry involved, with the art of how you actually get somebody else's mind to open up and see things. There's a certain art in teaching as well. So, I think that really is sort of the foundational part of my personality is, that. So that defines my personal idea of what is successful. And I just had a teaching course over the past weekend, teaching a bunch of people how to put in, min threads. That was a training course. There was 5 people plus an observer, and it was a busy Saturday. I worked there all day. I think it was successful. I mean, everybody left very happy. I think they felt comfortable and confident that once they go back to the clinics, they're able to do the procedure safely. So for me, okay, for that day, my goal of teaching these people who are really beginner novices to be able to do a sort of complex procedure safely and get good results and not harm somebody. Those are the 3 main pillars of success in a medical procedure. I achieved that, I felt, at the end of the day. So in a short, long 8-hour day, I achieved that with the individual. Hopefully, and these students took that away and able to move forward and achieve their successes further down the line. So, those kind of things constantly come into play in and out. It's no different than, each of us, you and Mary. Mm-hmm. Every day, as different scenarios come into our lives, the idea of success for that moment change, right? And then you still have that long-term goal of what is that, and that is ever elusive for me personally. Some people have it like rock solid. They know exactly, like you, Chance. I think you're one of those people, you know exactly where you're going. You have it like there. For me, it's like, yeah, I kind of know, but it's always, it's changing.
Well, what I love about everything that you're sharing, Dr. Lee, is there's 5 components to the formula of success.
Yeah.
Clarity, plus focus, plus the right people, plus the right actions and accountability. And you just touched on all 5 components.
Oh, is that right? I didn't think I did.
You touched on all 5 components. You didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, part of really helping people get clear with what the formula of success is. That entire process, to me, I term that linking leadership to love. Because when you love someone, you want them to be clear. When you love someone, you want them to succeed. When you love someone, you don't want them floundering. When you love someone, you want the best for them. And that really is a gift. It's a spiritual gift, clarity. And when we talk about clarity, that is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It takes years. I don't want anyone to get discouraged. It takes years for some people to get clear on who they are, clear on what they want, clear on where they want to go, what they want their life to look like. And what I want to know from each of you, starting with you, Mary, is how long did it take you to get clear on any aspect of your life? Because as we discussed, there's many facets of your life, but in one area of your life, how long did it take you to get clear on what you wanted?
I think that's an ongoing process. I think that really is an ongoing process. I've talked about that your talents and your gifts that you have to share with the world and to create a great life with, they're evident as a child. You were born with them. And Jens, earlier in the show, you talked about your ideas change and life beats it out of you. Well, you get so many messages from the world around you about who you're supposed to be. And I think it takes a strong personality to stand up and say, well, this is who I am, even though I'm not supposed to be that. And I think clarity just comes along the way. Success happens in action, and success happens through others. And as you engage with what you're interested in, it comes. I don't think it's something that can happen overnight. Sometimes it does, but you really have to be true to who you are and not be so tied into the messages around you. I'm going to share a story. My daughter, who is 19, and she's a NCAA Division I athlete, collegiate athlete, and she's an academic. That's not easy to do in a Division I environment, but she's in a great place. And what's so exciting for me for her is that I was an athlete growing up. I was the smart girl growing up. I was a music person growing up. I was the creative person growing up. And back in my day, you could, as a girl, you had to choose. You could be the pretty girl, or you could be the smart girl, or you could be the athlete. But you couldn't be all three. You had to pick one. That was an unspoken rule. So for my daughter, who is absolutely drop dead gorgeous, an amazing athlete, an academic, a social butterfly person, and super focused. I mean, what a great era. So I think clarity, it takes some soul searching, and it takes courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is about creating a new possibility that you step into and you own, even in the face of fear. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
You shared with me about 13, 14 years ago. And if you keep that in mind, but life does call for taking action, and through it, taking action and interacting with others, you gain clarity.
And you said something very interesting, and it made me think of, when you have pain in your body's telling you something's not right.
Yeah.
Well, when you have pain in your spirit or pain in your soul, it's telling you something's not right. Yeah. And when you're not living in congruency with your gifts and your talents, you're off. And there's a flow, there's energy, there's a happiness when you're congruent with those gifts and your talents. And I love it that you alluded to that.
One last point that I'll make. There are two parts of you that are always talking to you. One is your heart, and the other is your head. Well, guess which one is always right? It's the heart. Your heart is always right. Your head's trying to justify. Your head usually wants to take the easier route. But if you always listen to your heart and be true to that, and use your head as maybe a sage guide, giving it that grace, you can move forward. But it's always the heart that's right, because that's who you are.
That's right.
I would actually add a third one. I
was going to say, well, Dr. Lee, I was going to say, I want to know your perspective on clarity and the heart and the head, and really who's helped you along your journey in life to gain clarity.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really obviously it. So clarity actually took me a long time. I still don't think I'm pretty clear. I mean, the fact that I could define myself in those three areas, healer, what was I saying? Healer, teacher, and artist.
Educator.
My memory's gone. Yeah, healer, teacher, and artist. I think that's my main three pillars. I think that makes sense to me, looking back on all the stuff I've done. I think up to that point of defining this a few years ago, I think I was living all those things without really coming to putting labels on them. Not that you have to put labels on it, but once you put some labels on it, it kind of helps you clarify those, define them, and really kind of defines your role, and also has an influence on how you interact with people. Because once you define yourself as such and such, an artist, well, how does an artist see the world? How does an artist do a certain thing? Or how does a teacher take a problem? How do you actually take an issue and help somebody gain a new knowledge or skill? And those are all the things that a teacher has to look at from a different point of view. Not just knowing something. Just because you're able to do something doesn't mean you're necessarily a good teacher. And, there's a different kind of level of skill and thought process that goes into teaching. So that kind of clarity took a long time. And I think I still remember that day when you came to my office and we had all those people there and you said, how do you define yourself in 2 words? It's like, oh my God, I never thought about this. And I had to kind of think about it at that moment. Literally, I kind of came up with healer and teacher. I thought, well, this makes no sense because obviously I'm a doctor and I'm healing, and it comes very natural to me to do that. And I think I'm a natural teacher. I've been teaching pretty much most of my life, and it comes very natural to me to do that as well. The artistry part just kind of fell into it, from my association with music, and I think the different things that I do, and I help. I guess mostly how I approach life in that sense. The kind of people that had influence, I mean, there are many, obviously, and I'm not a super genius by any means. And certainly, I learned from everybody that I come across. From my students, I mean, over the past weekend, I learned. Obviously, my art grade teachers, piano teachers, academic teachers, just people in general that I've learned many different ways. There are, of course, a lot of personal people that I've met that help me kind of focus on different directions with music and things like that have a lot of influence, in my own. But I've read, I still do it, not as much as I used to. I read a lot, and I grew up even as a kid reading just nonstop. And I think the books, novels, books in philosophy, poetry, whatever. I mean, everything that I could, science fiction, everything that I could get hands on had a huge influence on how you see the world. Because we are all pretty much in small areas. The books help expand your knowledge and your view of the world, unless you're able to travel and see other parts of the world as well. So I'm kind of a sponge. I mooch and learn from everybody that I come across, and I think it's just I get influence and focus on how different people behave and see the world, and how I interact with them. That's kind of how I've learned. So it's a kind of interesting journey.
Well, you touched on the second component of the formula to success,
people,
and that is focus.
Yeah, focus.
So you have to know what you want, so you're focusing on the right things. Mm-hmm. And here's something so simple: if you want to be happy, don't focus on things that make you sad. Don't focus on things that make you mad. If you want to be healthy, don't focus on all of the sugar. Don't focus on all of the things.
Oh, really? You can't think about donuts every day and stay healthy.
Because what we focus on grows. And until you gain that clarity, what people focus on isn't always going to lead them to the place that they want to go. Yeah. In Alice in Wonderland, when the cat, or Allison was looking for the cat, and she's trying to figure out which way she goes, and she sees the Cheshire cat, and she said, "Which way do I go?" And the Cheshire cat says, "Well, where do you want to go?" And she said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, it doesn't matter which way you go, because But that's really when we think about focus. I just want y'all to think about, one area in your life right now where you're actively pursuing a goal. And, what is it that you are focusing on right now? What is one goal that you're working towards, and one area where you're focusing, and how did the clarity help you know what to focus on? Mary.
Do you know, I knew that I was a communicator when I was growing up, but that doesn't mean I'm the one talking. I'm usually the one watching.
There are many ways to communicate. It's not always words.
Right. And I've always been driven by that. And I thought that was so funny because I was such a painfully shy child. I would be much more comfortable standing in the corner. And, I've just gotten my daughter off to college. She's going to be starting her second year in college. And being a parent to a high level competitive athlete really takes quite a bit. So I was able to manage that balance. And then, COVID's going on. All of this is going on, and we're all transitioning out of things. So my big focus is pursuing some of the things that I put on the back burner to be the devoted parent, to a athlete, which I loved doing, by the way, and really expanding on that. And communications is a lot of that. So I'm very, very much focused on that. Success does happen in action, and success does happen through others. And so I'm very focused on that professional area of my life. I always have been. I mean, I was working when I was giving birth. I mean,
Jeez.
I don't know.
Mary, you want to know that story?
Oh, you know what?
Is that the definition of an overachiever or what?
No. I mean, I've always worked. I love to work. I always work. People ask me, well, what do you want to do? It's like, well, I just want to work.
But that was one of the reasons you got married later in life, because you were so focused on work.
Well, it was a lesson that I learned growing up, and then I made up, then I took what happened and I created life stories, which were really life sentences. And I was able to unconceal that about 23 years ago. And I did get married later in life, and I did have, my daughter later in life, and it's why we have one also. And gosh, it's been just such a great, great ride. The past 20 years has been the best part of my life, because I included marriage, I included a child, and it's been fantastic doing that. So, I'm focused on taking everything into my life to the next level. When you have a child later in life, the grass is not greener. You realize the grass is not greener on the other side of the fence, and you really devote yourself to it. Or at least I did. And you can devote yourself at any age, but for me, it worked that way. And you realize that creating such a great contribution to the world as an amazing human being, that's a relatively short period in your life. And so I am really expanding out on, the other areas of me that were there before that, are going to be a little more center stage. And so that's my focus.
It makes me think of that saying that you can have it all, but just not all at the same time.
Yes, and I learned that growing up, is you can have everything and anything you want. You just can't have everything and anything all at the same time, but you have to have focus. The only way you get anything done, from the littlest thing to the biggest thing, is being focused.
And what you focus on grows, and having that clarity of knowing, what is that big picture that you want your life to look like. And just like Dr. Lee said, that takes years, because you grow, because you evolve, because things change. So this is obviously a work in progress. You have eternity to get this right. So that means it doesn't matter how long it takes. But Dr. Lee, I want to know from you, you've talked a lot about focus, and I want to jump to the third component of success, and that is the right people. And you surround yourself with great people, but just share with us at least one story maybe of how you found the right people to lock arms with, and how you knew those were the right people for you.
Okay. Before I do that, I want to add the third component about, before I forget,
Absolutely.
about the head and the heart. Of course, those two are critically important, but I think there's a third part, and that is the gut. And we always talk about a gut reaction or whatever. That's a little different than what's in your heart, and certainly what's different in your head. So head, heart, and the gut, I think, is for me, the third part. I don't know why, but I was thinking threes, and the third is kind of important. It's the third leg kind of gives you balance, but I think it's important. So as far as people, my God, I mean, if I didn't have the right kind of people at the different stages of my life, I don't know where I would be. I mean, this is, of course, lately, of course, I'm, over the past few years, I'm met a few guys, and it's been, of course, wonderful, and we're starting this incredible journey together. So this is sort of an evolution of, how I kind of fell into the Women's Network, and from there, here we are. I went to that just by accident because somebody I knew was talking about diabetes, and that's how I ended up. Just amazing how coincidence, how things like that happen. So of course, that is very influential in terms of meeting people like like Jens and Mary and all the people around there. That's really starting from a very enriching relationship. Growing up, I mean, I had different parental role models. I had a different, I guess, father at different stage. My piano teacher, and I found him late high school. I started piano late, and I found him late high school before I went to college, and I mean, I really didn't know at the time, but he really had a huge influence on me without necessarily being obvious about it. And we kept the relationship for my whole life. And after I met him at age 16, and I was there at his funeral, several years ago. So I knew him pretty much most of my life, 45, 46 years. So he's somebody that had a huge influence on many different levels, and, not always in an overt way, but in terms of having a relationship, obviously with an older man who's a father figure. And then in school, certainly certain teachers I had. I would count, again, another musician who was a choral director that I sang in, and a conductor, and also a piano teacher at that time when I was in college. I sang in a glee club case, and he was very influential. So I kept with him for a long, long, long time. And other people that I knew personally, like from the neighborhood and growing up. So it really is just how these people sort of fall in at the right moment to help you and not necessarily guide you, but be there in a way that you don't even realize. And you think back and thinking, oh my God, thank God they were there. Otherwise, where would I be? And so yeah, those two are, I think, certainly prime examples. Of course, meeting your spouse and all those kind of things that goes without saying. But those are obviously huge, life-changing events to meet somebody. I mean, I met Rosemary purely by accident. I wasn't even, she's a flight attendant, and I wasn't even supposed to be on her flight. I got into her flight by accident because the flight I was supposed to take canceled or was hugely delayed because of a storm. And they said, okay, go and take this flight. They're going to New York. And she just happened to be there, and I literally met her on airplane. I mean, it was really that kind of an accident.
And she gave you her number, Dr.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. She could be.
Wow, you just
No, you know how that goes. I mean, no, for me, it's like, okay, well, this is an amazing woman, incredibly beautiful. It's like, I don't know anything about her, but I mean, I just couldn't keep my eyes off of her. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to give her my card with my phone number on it because literally, what do I have to lose?
Right, exactly.
If she says no, then okay, well, I tried, but that's it. If she said yes, something might happen. But at the end of the day, I thought I really have nothing to lose. So that's kind of how I approached it. And obviously, here we are, 23 years later of marriage. So,
well, you touched on some really important points, and number one is the right people. They make you better. Mm-hmm. The right people add value to your life. Yes. The right people they're not just a cheerleader. I think a lot of times people think the right people are the people that just tell me what I want to hear. No,
they're not.
The right people are the ones that love you so much, that care about you so much, that are invested in you so much, that they'll provide you valuable feedback that's going to help you grow. At the end of the day, we are all limitless, and we're on a journey to continue to grow. And believe it or not, a lot of people think, hey, when I get to a certain age, I can stop growing. Whoo, I'm done. No, I'm sorry. Exactly. So Mary, I want to know from you, just who have been some of the right people in your life?
Dr. Lee really spoke to it. The right people come to you in sometimes unusual circumstances along the way. When you've got clarity and focus and you stay true to your heart, the right people show up. And when you look back, you're like, gosh, that's just so amazing. I mean, I've had family members, clients, professional people I collaborate with, um, organizations. There's just so many. I really can't single out a lot of people, but I will single out my husband and I will single out my daughter. I mean, I've learned so much as a human being, being married to my husband, and I've learned so much about myself and being a human being through being a mother to my daughter. I mean, they've both been two of the greatest gifts to me in my life, and a lot of people all along the way. And they show up just like how Dr. Lee described. They just show up, and it's like, huh.
I know, and I love it when that happens. I honestly do.
Yeah.
Of all of the 5 components, the right people it's the one component that helps us along our journey the faster than any other component, because the right people, they will help you with find clarity. The right people will help you just determine what it is that you should be focused on. The right people will also help you with the right actions. And who we've got Tim Gillette on, and I'll tell you what, Tim Gillette is another right person that you want to align yourself with. So hi, Tim. We love you, Tim.
Yeah, hi, Tim.
We're going to have Tim on the show with us.
Yeah, definitely.
But
the other thing, but if you don't mind interrupting, the flip side of it, this is a bit more dark, obviously, is recognizing the wrong people. Okay, and the right people, I mean, the trick to that is recognizing who's right. And I think that's where the head, heart, and the gut comes in.
Oh, yes.
But I think same thing also in recognizing, who may be seemingly right for you, but who actually may be not. And who actually may be detrimental in some way, not necessarily in a profound way, but even subtle way that erodes away, your confidence, your thoughts, who you are. And sometimes it's very, very difficult to recognize, number one. Number two, acknowledge. And then number three is to do something about it. Either you let that sit there because you don't want to fracture a relationship or hurt somebody, or you kind of go through it, figure it out how to protect yourself. But sometimes some people can be very, very detrimental, and you don't even know. And it's not always your personal relationship like marriage or whatever, but it really can be professional, can be your friends or pseudo friends or whatever. It's when you have to sit back and think, okay, why is this not working? And why? And then that thought process also helps you go back and define your clarity and also your focus, because something in that situation is interfering with your clarity, focus, and all these other things that are going on, right? So
100%.
That's something that takes time and sometimes guts to figure out and to do something about.
Yes, it does. And you meet those people too, and you must learn to be yourself and to live with integrity.
Yeah.
Honoring your word is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I've let people go, and sometimes you have to let people go.
Yeah.
And sometimes those people are family members, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that we do, I facilitate a mastermind, and Mary's in the mastermind, and we meet there at Dr. Lee's. And one of the things that we do every month is we've got a theme, we've got homework, because we live our lives on purpose with intentionality. And our theme for this month is people map. Who do you need to add into your life? Who can help you achieve the goals that you're working for? And who do you need to maybe subtract out of your life? Because like you said, Dr. Lee, I'm telling you, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch.
Sure. Yeah.
It's true. So you have to always be aware of how do people make you feel? Are they building you up? Are they bringing you down? Is there resistance? One of the things that was very interesting I had a mutual business associate that I was working with, and we were talking about another person and adding that person into a collaboration that we are working with. And this associate said, I don't want to wrestle with her resistance. And I had never heard that. But when she said that, I thought, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm experiencing with this person as well. And she said, when you have to wrestle with people's resistance, that's just telling you that's not the right person.
Yeah.
And because there's a flow and an energy that goes along with being with the right people.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you brought that out, Dr. Lee, because that's very important for the formula to success. Mary.
Well, just one more thing about that. Even those people that are not the right people, there's a reason why you're working with that, dealing with that. And it's what there is to do is to learn about yourself and understand yourself. That's, that's actually a gift that they give to you for you to like come to terms with, oh, this is not the right person. You have to know how to do that. So those kind of people serve, are valuable people too. They're just, more short-lived in your life.
Yeah, they serve a purpose. And I love what Tim is saying too, is, sometimes they're the right people, but it's not the right time to be in that relationship, which is another thing too.
Yeah.
A lot of things to consider, but the most important thing is that you're aware, that you're thinking about things, that that you're creating your life and you're not letting life just happen by chance. Now, the fifth component of success is accountability. And one of the things I like to say all the time is you can't be accountable to yourself. I know you want to be. I know you want to say, okay, what I'm going to do tomorrow is, and then at the end of the day say, oh, well, I did 50% in that. What you have to be accountable to someone else. Imagine any type of athletic team not having a coach, and the players, if they want to come to practice, they come to practice. If they want to work out, they work out. That would be crazy. So I want to know from you, Mary, and then you, Dr. Lee, who are you accountable to in your life?
I am accountable to my family. I'm accountable to my clients. I'm accountable to my friends. I'm accountable to my professional colleagues. I'm very accountable. I'll often enter a conversation. It's like, I'm accountable for this. And the people around me, I'm accountable. They've got to hold me to account.
And when you do life together and you collaborate, because success does happen with others, you're accountable to those people. So, what I love about doing things together is even with this podcast, all three of us are accountable to all three of us. Mm-hmm. And that's how you have success. But Dr. Lee, who are some of the people that you're accountable to?
Well, believe it or not, to myself. I mean, believe me, I failed every day. I always think to myself, okay, I am accountable, but what did I do? Well, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Well, I didn't do quite enough of this, I didn't do enough of that. But that's just the part of the process of trying to always move things forward. I got to do this, I got to do this in order to move. And always, of course, you fail more than you succeed. But of course, I'm accountable to my wife, my employees, and my staff, all my patients, obviously. I mean, more than anything, I'm accountable to them because in order to provide the best care and everything that I can do to the best of my ability, I have to know what the hell I'm talking about. I better, and to a higher degree than hopefully more other people. And that really is a very, very important commitment. And of course, the people that I teach, I'm accountable because I have to teach them in a way that, for me, it's like, okay, this is the highest level that I could teach. That I'll know that I've done everything I can possibly to teach them to make sure they can do the procedures correctly and properly and avoid problems and whatnot. So, everything that I do in those areas, very, very accountable. And I play with, there's a DFW piano group, believe it or not. It's been around, and all these people are very high-level, piano players, pianists. I mean, some are actually professionals. And we meet once a month, and I really can't join them, but I try to join them as much as I can. So, of course, if I'm going to go there and, play something in front of these accomplished people, oh my God, yeah, I'm accountable to myself and of course accountable to them because I don't want to go there and, flop and, make them feel uncomfortable by playing badly. So yeah, all those kind of things, it all, at any level of, I think, things that you try to do and have a commitment to doing it and doing it well, I think the accountability just automatically comes into play. And I think it's your sense of, I guess, ownership of taking on that task or goal that sets in an automatic accountability. Because, yeah, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to commit to it. Well, if you don't have your own internal accountability to achieve that, you'll never get there, So I think, even though I think, I certainly fail personally towards my goal, but inch by inch, take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Hopefully you reach that goal and get to the place that you want to be.
Well, something that both of you said and Tim said as well is there's a sense of responsibility. There's a commitment. There's a sense of responsibility that it's operating at a higher level. And when you have that sense of responsibility, I don't know about y'all, but I always want to do my best. Now, that doesn't mean I always do my best, but I always go into every endeavor with the intent of doing my best because I am accountable to other people. And I think it's when we realize that those 5 components of success, clarity plus focus plus the right people plus the right actions plus accountability, you can take those 5 components in any facet of your life and apply them and have success. And remember that if you're in the active pursuit of a righteous goal, you are succeeding. You are succeeding. So don't beat yourself up. Make sure you give yourself grace and enjoy your life and realize that every day you wake up, it's a new day. It's a new day to recommit. It's a new day to brush off the dirt from your skin knees. It's a new day to forgive yourself, to forgive others. But most importantly, just don't give up. Just don't give up. Keep going. Mary, Dr. Lee, any parting words before we let everyone go?
Accountability isn't always a punitive approach. Accountability is also celebration.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. Dr. Lee, any parting words before we let
Well, I mean, this will sound very trite and cliche-ish, but it really is the journey. Believe it or not, it really is the daily grind and whatever. Of course, none of us really like that every day, but that is the process of trying to get somewhere. Because I remember, I play concerts and whatnot. Every time I finished the concert, I felt such a letdown. It's like, oh, now what do I do? I don't know what to do tomorrow because I played my piece. I was having the practice. So I have to set up a whole nother goal to sit there and start the whole process again. But it's kind of a sort of an oxymoron to say, okay, I've succeeded. I did my thing. Now what? Okay, I have to start all over again. And it's the process. It's the daily, grinding to get there. That kind of gives you the, I think, richness of existence and kind of sense of purpose. And that's for me anyway. Probably a very existential Sisyphean type of.
Well, and I think it's so important too that you do enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. Learn from the ups and downs. Realize that you don't fail. You learn, and as long as you keep on going, you're going to get better. I promise. I mean, I promise. If you don't stop, you're going to get better. Yeah. So until we meet you next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central, Mary,
live richly,
love deeply,
and stay healthy.
Thank you for being with us for this episode of Love and Health in America. Dr. Doohi Lee, Mary McMahon, and Jens Johnson are committed to help you achieve a life full of love, health, and abundance. Please join us in our next episode as we share another facet for you to optimize love and health in your life. Until next time, love deeply, live richly, and stay healthy.